We all know that over the long run, consistent habits are more important than relying only on motivation. But in my own journey through the Joint Foundations module, I found that balance and mindset were even more important than motivation or even discipline. Welcome to this new video series. My name is Julie. I am here as a new Masters Academy student ambassador of craft to share with you what I have learned about developing art skills and creating with purpose. And to help you put into practice what I'm going to share today, I created a set of free resources that you will be able to download with the link under this video. Most of what I'm going to share today comes from my own experience studying art online for the past 2 years, and I love online education. I think that in many ways it is superior to a traditional school, but it also comes with very specific challenges, and the most important of them is that when you are in a traditional school, there is a structure that is made for you. You have peers, teachers, and a schedule that tell you when to work and help you get to work, but when you're learning alone, you have to do it all for yourself. On a day-to-day basis, no one is going to push you to work, and you need to actively engage, not just for days or weeks, but if you want to achieve anything, you need to return to your work over years. But what makes an online education path difficult to follow is also what can make it more powerful than traditional education. The fact that nobody else, no external force is pushing you to work, but that you make the decision to show up every day makes your learning that much more intentional. You can't just be passive, you have to be active in your learning. Self-directed learning is harder but more powerful because when you choose to study rather than passively showing up, you are in a better position to appreciate and retain what you learn. But even knowing this, it is hard, and especially when we start, it's easy to want to wait for the perfect moment where we have the most inspiration to draw or motivation to study. But this moment is rarely going to happen. Talent, motivation, inspiration all have something in common, that is, they all imply that something external determines your success. And they exist. Some people learn faster and inspiration feels amazing, but relying on an external force puts your progress outside of your control. Instead, it's about building your craft day by day and taking ownership over your creative path. Thinking about talent or motivation is just like complaining about the weather. It is not going to change anything, and it can become an easy excuse to avoid the work. We have a saying in French that appetite comes while you eat, and I find that it is the same about art making, studying, and most activities really. It takes a lot more energy to get started than to keep going. And for this reason, building the habit to show up is going to be a lot more efficient over the long run than waiting to be motivated. And this is because over time, small, consistent habits accumulate. Before I got back to art, I was deeply into knitting, and when you knit a sweater, it is not a matter of inspiration or motivation. You never knit it all at once. You just have to keep going stitch after stitch, and it is something that I've been thinking about a lot when a class was feeling very long or I felt overwhelmed with the amount of work that I have with the entire module that was ahead of me, that if you just keep going one stitch at a time, one day at a time, things accumulate. In my opinion, there is no point in worrying about your entire art education, art career, or even the entirety of a class on any given day. You just have to get started and take it one small piece at a time, because this is the only way that you can move forward. The same way that you can't knit an entire sleeve all at once, you still have to do it stitch by stitch. You just can't complete a class all at once or a module or your art education in just one go. You just have to take it one step at a time. And thinking about where you should be or where your skills should be is never going to take you there any faster. You have to accept where you are in order to make progress. And there is one more thing that I find very powerful about the knitting analogy. That is, that you're only moving forward. And if you just keep knitting, progress is inevitable. In your art studies, I think that we all share the feeling that we would like our skill to be better than what they are. We would all like to be further in this path than we are, and that's a good motivation when it pushes us forward. But it can also be paralyzing. It can be a negative force, but it is important to remember that you can only make progress from where you are. You are not going to move any faster by trying to complete something that is way ahead of you because you would like to be there. You have to accept your current level, your current skill, your current position, and make progress from there. You just take one stitch at a time, one day at a time, one lesson at a time, and progress is inevitable. Even if over the long run, discipline is going to take you further than motivation, I still think that motivation is a great thing and that you should take advantage of it when it happens. But there is a bigger problem that I have with both motivation and discipline. That is, they both imply that the thing that you're doing is difficult or that you don't want to do it. Because when you rely on motivation, it is like saying, I need to feel differently in order to be doing this thing. And when you rely on discipline, it is like saying, I need to be stronger to push through this thing. And I don't like things to be difficult. I don't like this feeling. And there is one thing that I think fewer people are talking about than discipline. That is to just make things easier for yourself sometimes. It is not always possible, but that's one thing that I wanted to share with you, that when things feel extremely difficult or you feel like you need a ton of discipline to get yourself to do it, maybe ask yourself if there is any way for you to make it a little bit easier. It is not about taking shortcuts, it is about clearing the path, so to speak. Is it maybe a feeling that is preventing you from getting to work? Like the fear of failure would be a very common one, or some guilt, some negative feeling. And if that's what it is there a way for you to alleviate it a little bit? Or is it that you're afraid the drawing that you're tackling, the assignment that you're tackling, or the lesson that you're about to start watching is somehow too difficult for you? And why is it too difficult? If it is a drawing, is there something that you should have done in earlier stages that you missed? And so you're facing a problem that maybe should have been solved earlier. And in that case, just try to understand what is making it so difficult and fix it. Try to be a little bit more creative than just pushing through, because it is not about brute force all the time. Sometimes we make things harder than they need to be, and it's about finding ways to come back to a normal amount of difficulty. One thing that we can do in order to make our art practice and studies easier on a day-to-day basis is to understand and reduce friction. The idea of friction is related to habit building, and it is that our behavior as humans follows the path of least resistance. So it is much easier to keep doing exactly the same thing every day than it is to try to build a new routine. And it is much easier to just consume meaningless content than it is to do anything creative, because it takes more effort. And when you understand that friction plays a big role in your behavior, you can try to use it in order to facilitate what you want to do a little bit and make what you don't want to do just a little bit harder. So that would be making your art materials visible and easy to grab, trying to build a dedicated space for your studies if you can, organizing your tools for easier use, having a bookmark for the class that you're currently taking. Basically, the easiest it is to get to work, the more likely you are to do it. But again, the most important thing for me is to reframe how we think about motivation and discipline. If you see your studies as a sacrifice, something that you have to do, but time that is taken away from what you love, it is going to be much harder to get to it than if you think about it as something that you want to do. And When I think about my own journey through the Drawing Foundations module, I believe that it is what helped me the most. I never saw this as a chore, as something that was taking time away from my art career or practice. I saw the studying as the shortcut. And when you see it as something that you have to force yourself through, you're making it harder than it has to be. But the truth is that if you're here at New Masters Academy, you chose this path, and the learning is not a detour that you're taking, it is the path itself. Instead of framing your practice as something that you have to do, remember that you want to do this. You're not making sacrifices, you're choosing what matters the most, and reducing distractions in order to spend more time studying art is not a deprivation, it is a gift to your future self. Every minute that you spend studying is progress. You are doing something meaningful, investing in yourself and strengthening your craft every time you show up. It is a long journey and it is normal to have doubts along the way, but what matters is finding ways to stay connected to your craft, to your purpose and to yourself. To help you with that, I created a set of free PDFs that you can download using the link in the description below. I hope that they help you build better habits, find your motivation, and make your art studies a little easier. I'm very excited about the next episode. It is going to be about making the most out of your art studies with intentional learning and note-taking, so I hope to see you there. Thank you for watching this one, keep learning, and I will see you there. Okay, bye-bye!